Having strong, clear, defined non-negotiables and upholding them is literally going to be the difference between you settling for a toxic, unhealthy, unsatisfying relationship versus you attracting the relationship, lifestyle, and person of your dreams. How, you may ask? Well, if you don't know what you want and aren't clear about it, you'll settle for the first thing that is given to you or whatever is given to you. And 9 times out of 10, the first thing that comes along is not usually the best option. It's just what is there. But when you know what you want, you have a roadmap to follow, and you can eliminate the people and things that are not in alignment with that. If you're just accepting whatever is given, whatever comes along, then it may not fit into your roadmap or your dream life or your dream relationship or your dream person. It's just the first thing that came along, the first person that showed interest, the first person to give you a breadcrumb or two of love. Maybe it could possibly be the relationship or person that fits into your non-negotiables, but most of the time it's not. And if you don't know what you want, you'll settle for whatever you can get. Or if you do know what you want, but you don't have self-worth or the belief in that you can attain it, you are going to settle for whatever you can get. And by having non-negotiables, you are literally showing and telling yourself, hey, this is what I want, this is what I deserve, I will not settle for anything less, and I will say no to anything that comes my way that isn't this. And when you say no to the things that don't align with your values and what you want in your dream relationship or your dream lifestyle, then you make room to attract the things and people that do align with your dream relationship and your dream lifestyle and your dream person. Hi guys, I'm Julia. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. The J on my jacket is not for Juicy, it's for Julia. So this video is why you need to have non-negotiables and standards while dating, and I'm going to be sharing with you some of my non-negotiables and standards so you get a little idea, a little example of what I mean when I say you need non-negotiables, like what they are. Obviously, yours are going to be different than mine because everyone has different values and needs and wants and desires. So your non-negotiables need to be authentic to who you are and what you need, want, and desire. They're not going to be the same as mine, and that is perfectly okay. The whole idea for making non-negotiables in this video came about when I finally decided I wanted to be more intentional with the way I dated and picked partners, because the way I was doing in the past was not working for me. And I finally decided this after I started healing from my, I want to say, nightmare of a relationship, because I went into that with literally no standards, no boundaries, no non-negotiables. I saw the red flags, blew right past them, and was like, oh, red flag, can't see it, nope, delusional, sorry, I didn't even know it was there, wow. But the thing about that is, like, you always know what you need, you always know what's best for you, and you just kind of ignore things because maybe you want to be with somebody, maybe you don't want to be alone, maybe you're afraid you'll never be with somebody, this, that, and the third. But ultimately, you need to have the confidence and the self-worth to say, no, I deserve better, I don't want that. And the way you avoid getting into those situations completely in the first place is by having a list of non-negotiables that you will not bend on. They're your deal breakers. They're the, if you are not this type of person, if you don't have these type of values, I can't date you. No matter how cute you are, no matter how nice you seem, no matter how charming or attractive you are, if you don't fit my non-negotiables, you are not worth my time, my energy, and my emotions. So I'm not even gonna get involved with you from the jump. And when you have this list of things that you will not bend on, then, only then, you can really go out and start dating properly, because when those people come along and they don't fit in your non-negotiables, you're not going to be trying to fit into their world. You're going to be like, well, you don't fit into my world, I'm not going to try to fit into your world. Thank you, next, as Ariana Grande once said. So the non-negotiables are your deal breakers, your can't bend, can't even consider if you don't fit them. Then we have our standards. Our standards are green flags. They don't necessarily have to be completely there from the jump, but they're work withable. So if we meet a person that meets our standards and our non-negotiables, that's like a perfect person. But if they meet our non-negotiables and not all of our standards, that's okay. We do want them to meet a good chunk of our standards, but if they don't meet everything, it's okay for us to be a little different. Like, not every person is going to be perfect to you and your lifestyle completely to a T. And it is good to have some differences here and there as long as they're complementary. So your standards are things that you can work with. Then after the standards, we have our red flags and our deal breakers. But I'm gonna save red flags and deal breakers for another video, so watch my next video for red flags and deal breakers. I do want to say having non-negotiables and truly upholding them is the most important thing you can do if you fall into the people-pleasing category or codependent style of relationship category, which was me. I had a tendency tendency to really like bend over backwards for people. I wanted them to like me, love me, want to be with me, and I felt as though if I tried to fit the mold of what they wanted by people pleasing and this and that, then they would love me more, which is not true. It doesn't work like that. In fact, people really take advantage of you when you allow yourself to be in that vulnerable position. It's kind of like having a target on your back saying, hit me. But by upholding fully and completely to your non-negotiables and your standards, you are not allowing yourself to fall into that people pleasing and the settling for bad treatment. You're literally saying, I will not accept treatment any less than my non-negotiables and my standards. So you have to literally treat me this way or we can't be together. And if they can't accept that, respect that, they gotta go. It's the same as having a boundary. For my non-negotiables, I have them on my iPad as usual, and I have 8 non-negotiables, and then under each one I wrote details about them, explaining what they are and why they're there. So I know when I meet a new person, or if I'm trying to decide if getting into a relationship with the person I'm dating would be the correct choice for me, I just have to check my non-negotiables list and make sure they fit the list. And you want to make sure that when you make this list, whether you're in a relationship with somebody right now or you're not, or if you're dating anyone, you completely erase that person from your brain when writing the list, because you don't want to accidentally write the list around that person and excuse any bad behavior. So if you're not intentionally single right now, imagine that you are. Imagine that you're not talking to anyone, you have no prospects. Write out your non-negotiables from that standpoint. You could also go off of things that you've previously experienced and be like, oh, well, I do want to experience that again. Write that in, but don't cater to any specific person is what I'm trying to say. You want to write this in the tenses of your dream relationship and your dream person. If you truly want to be in a relationship with a provider, don't sell yourself short by saying, I'm fine with paying some of the bills. No, say you want a full provider. Write that in. If you have a desire for something, there's a reason for it. Don't hold yourself back from a desire that you have because of your self-esteem or feeling worthy. Write it in, and then you're gonna have to do some inner work on the side to get yourself to a place where you feel worthy for that. But the first step is starting now by writing it in and allowing yourself to desire the things that you really want, even if they feel so far out of reach or scary. And I do want to say, these are supposed to weed people out. Most people are not supposed to fit into your non-negotiables and standards, because you're not going to date most people. You're going to date a handful of people, or however many people you're going to date, and then you're going to end up with one. You only need one person to fit this list. Like, most people are not going to fit the list. That's the point. And by making this list, you're taking one step forward to attracting that person, because now you know what you want. So now I want to give you some examples of my own personal non-negotiables and what non-negotiables are, so you can go ahead and make a list for yourself of non-negotiables. So I made a list of 8. You can do, I would say, do anywhere between 5 to 10. No less than 5, probably no more than 10. For example, a non-negotiable of mine: I want a man of integrity, devotion, and his word. What this means to me, this specific one, is he does what he says, or lets his actions speak for themselves. He is devoted to his inner work, self-growth, and his purpose, which is like career and passions. He is devoted to owning our relationship and providing for and protecting it. He is trustworthy, loyal, and disciplined with his values and our relationship. So this is a very clear, strong, specific non-negotiable, but it's not too specific that it's like nobody can fit this ever. I'm looking for somebody who has values and morals and is truly devoted to them and disciplined with them. And I think the thing that's important about that is that you are also the reciprocal of it. So with this one, you don't have to be the exact non-negotiable that you're looking for, but you have to be like, let's say you're looking for a masculine man and you're a feminine woman, you have to be the feminine version of what you're looking for, or you have to be the exact thing if it is the exact thing. So I'll give you an example of what I mean by you have to be the exact thing if it's the exact thing. So I have healthy vegan lifestyle as a non-negotiable. I'm vegan. Why would I want to date a man who's vegan if I'm not vegan? So that's us being the exact thing together. That's a non-negotiable I have for myself, and that's a non-negotiable that I want for my partner. So if your non-negotiables, you're either looking for the reciprocal of that, so the male version of your female version of it, or you're looking for the exact version of a trait or value that you have that you require in a partner. I'll give you another example of what I mean by the reciprocal. So I have on my list that I want a protector and provider. So I want a guy who doesn't go 50-50 on anything. To attract that, that means I can't be offering to split bills with him, and I can't be accepting a guy who wants to split bills with me. I have to be the receiver while he's the giver. So I have to go on dates with men that do not want to split anything and are very upfront that they want to be the sole financial provider within the relationship, because the last thing I would want is to take a guy who wants to be 50-50 and try to convince him to be a provider, because he's just going to resent me and I'm going to resent him and it's not going to work. The person that I would need would have to be a man that desires to be the provider. And honestly, I want a guy who'd be a little offended if I did offer. That's just me, but that's the kind of guy I'd want. Here's an example of another non-negotiable I have where I want somebody who is the same as me, a person that is sexually disciplined. And what I mean by that is they don't watch porn, because I don't watch porn. Also a person who chooses to be celibate when single, or doesn't participate in hookup culture, because that's the way I am. So I would want somebody who is very similar to me in that aspect. And if they're choosing to do that on their own, they would align with me perfectly, because I would want somebody who completely respects that boundary of mine and also has that boundary for themselves, so that we align on that together. So those are a few examples of my non-negotiables. Let's get into standards and what they are. Standards are things that if he isn't already working towards it or doesn't already have it, it's not the worst thing ever. Like I literally have loves cats as a standard because I love cats. But if he doesn't love cats, I'm not gonna be like, no, I won't date you. As long as he's like cool with me having a cat and doesn't hate cats, we're cool. Another example could be, I like a guy who's very chivalrous. So when we're in public, he opens all the doors for me. He opens the car door for me. He walks on the straight side of the road. I'm looking for these from a guy. I'm not going to be like, hey, you need to do this, this, and this. If we end up getting into a relationship later, then I might try to implement certain aspects of these standards if I feel like they're necessary. So like if I want him to be standing on the car side, I might be like, hey, I feel really safe when you stand on the car side. Can you do that for me? And obviously, if he meets my non-negotiables, he's not going to have a problem with just standing on the car side if we're walking. So they're not, you need to do this. It's like, let's work to you doing this, or we can just agree to disagree, like the cats thing. You don't have to love cats, but you have to be cool with them. Just like I don't have to love dogs if you're a dog person, but I just have to be cool with you having a dog, which is literally me. I'm not obsessed with dogs, but like if you are, I'll respect it. Another example would be, I like to maintain my beauty and my looks, and I like to get my nails done on a monthly basis. I would like him to offer to pay for my nails, but if he doesn't do that, I'm not going to completely write him off if he is a provider, because if he is a provider, then eventually he's going to be paying for the nails. But if he wants to pay for them now and get started, who am I to say no? So that's an example of standards. They're not the end all be all. They're the, it would be nice if, and eventually if we are together, you're probably going to end up doing them because you fit the non-negotiables. And if you fit the non-negotiables, me asking you here and there to do a standard is like not that deep, not a big deal. Or we just find a happy medium on it. That's all I have for that. Now I'm challenging you to go write out your non-negotiables and your standards and make sure the next person that you allow to enter your life on a romantic level meets your full non-negotiables and does some of your standards. Oh, and once you do write out your non-negotiables and standards, send them to me on a DM on IG. I want to read them. And remember, never settle. I love you guys so much. I'll see you in my next video.